Ibrahim Traoré, the current president of Burkina Faso, as of 2025, is a controversial and complex figure, seen by some as a hero and by others as a villain, depending on perspective, politics, and priorities. Before answering the question, let's take a look at the background. Burkina Faso, formerly Upper Volta, was a French colony until it gained independence in 1960. Like in many former French colonies, France maintained deep ties in the form of military bases, education systems, currency control via the CFA franc, and French companies operating in key sectors. Since the early 2010s, France has had a strong military presence in the Sahel, Operation Barkhane, including Burkina Faso, to fight jihadist groups. French troops and special forces trained local armies and operated in coordination with them. However, many Burkinabé felt that France's involvement failed to stop terrorism, and some believed it made things worse or served hidden agendas, like controlling resources. France remained a key trade partner and donor, providing aid and investments. Critics accused France of protecting loyal regimes and maintaining influence through elite connections. The CFA franc, used by Burkina Faso and tied to the euro through the French treasury, is seen by some as a form of economic neocolonialism. Blaise Compaoré was the president of Burkina Faso from 1987 to 2014. He came to power after the assassination of revolutionary leader Thomas Sankara, his former friend and ally. His rule lasted 27 years, marked by relative stability but growing authoritarianism and corruption. In October 2014, Compaoré attempted to change the constitution to extend his presidency. This sparked massive nationwide protests, known as the Burkina Faso Uprising. Facing public outrage and unrest, he resigned and fled the country on October 31, 2014. After Compaoré fled, a transitional government was set up under Michel Kafando, interim president, and Lieutenant Colonel Isaac Zida, prime minister. The goal was to organize free elections and restore democracy within a year. Despite tensions between the military and civilian leaders, the transition moved forward. In September 2015, just before scheduled elections, the Presidential Guard, RSP, loyal to Compaoré, launched a coup and detained interim leaders. After massive public resistance and international pressure, the coup collapsed within a week. In November 2015, Roch-Marc Christian Kabore, a former ally turned opponent of Compaoré, was elected president in a peaceful democratic vote. His presidency focused on economic reform and reconciliation, but was overwhelmed by growing jihadist violence in the north and east. He was re-elected in 2020, but the worsening security crisis eroded public trust in his leadership. Jihadist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS gained ground in Burkina Faso. Attacks on civilians, soldiers, and schools increased dramatically. Over 2 million people were displaced and thousands were killed. The state lost control of large parts of the country, especially in rural areas. President Kabore was overthrown by Lieutenant-Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba. Damiba promised to defeat terrorism, but made little progress. Eventually in 2022, Damiba was overthrown by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who accused him of failure and being too close to France. Traoré became president at just 34, making him the youngest head of state in the world. Traoré cut ties with France, expelled French troops, and turned to Russia for security support. He aligned Burkina Faso with other military-led countries like Mali and Niger, forming the alliance of Sahel states. This leads us back to the initial question: hero or villain? Why some see him as a hero? Youth and change. At just 34 when he seized power in 2022, Traoré became the youngest head of state in the world, inspiring many young Africans who saw him as a symbol of anti-colonialism and national pride. Anti-French sentiment. He expelled French troops and sharply reduced Western influence, especially France's, actions praised by many Burkinabé who see this as reclaiming national sovereignty. Pan-Africanism. Traoré has aligned himself with other military-led governments in Mali and Niger, promoting ideas of African unity, self-reliance, and resistance to neo-colonial powers. Popular support. In some circles, particularly among youth and rural populations, he enjoys strong support, viewed as someone who speaks the truth and acts decisively in a time of national crisis. Why others view him as a villain. Military. Coup leader. He came to power by overthrowing a fellow military ruler, Paul-Henri Damiba, who had himself taken power in a coup, undermining democratic norms. No democratic elections. As of now, he rules without an elected mandate, raising concerns about authoritarianism and the erosion of democratic institutions. Worsening security. Despite promises, Burkina Faso continues to struggle with jihadist violence, and some accuse his regime of failing to significantly improve safety in large parts of the country. Repression of dissent. There have been reports of press restrictions, civil society crackdowns, and the use of state propaganda to suppress criticism. Alliance with Russia. Traoré has reportedly welcomed Russian military advisors and security personnel to the country. Traoré has emphasized new partnerships to help fight the jihadist insurgency, criticizing Western partners for ineffectiveness. So, hero or villain? Supporters see him as a bold leader standing up to the West, fighting for African dignity, and inspiring a new vision of sovereignty. Critics see him as a military strongman, part of a wave of coups in West Africa that undermines democracy and offers little real progress. What's your opinion? Let us know in the comments. If you like this video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.